Welcome to Huddle Up, brought to you by the Fields Auto Group. Jaguars senior writer John Oehser, NFL Network analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadrick bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
And welcome in. It's a bye-week edition of Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, Wednesday, November 20th. J.P. Shadrick, John Oehser, and, of course, Bucky Brooks. The Week 12 bye is upon us. We'll have the aftermath of Week 11. Lions 52, Jaguars 6, and an early look ahead at what to expect in the stretch run after the bye week. 6 games to go in the regular year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks is brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. The bye week is upon us. Bucky, good afternoon. How are you?
What's up, guys? How we doing? How's everything?
It's going as good as can be expected after a beatdown like that in Detroit, in Motown in Week 11, 52-6. There were all those reports pregame, Bucky, and then it's been quiet after the fact, and it's now just moving forward and trying to patch things up here in the bye week, and then get to the stretch run. That's it's a disappointing end to the pre-bye week schedule, I'll say it that way. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a disappointing end, and I feel like the report that came out probably set everybody up to look for something to happen Sunday night, Monday, even early Tuesday, and you haven't seen anything happen. And as distracting as it's been for fans and observers, imagine the distraction that it's been for not only the players, but what about the coaches? What about the people in the building? You always know whenever you in the middle of a losing streak and you haven't had the success that the team hasn't had in the last year, you always know that things are going to come up. But I would say just the volatile nature of the report led you to believe something. And I think it has had a negative impact on the team. Now, that doesn't excuse the performance that we saw on Sunday, but you certainly feel like there's a black cloud hanging over the team. And at some point, you would like a resolution one way or the other.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not shocked that nothing has happened because you're never – I guess I've been doing this long enough to never be shocked when the question is changed, when the question is what is an owner going to or not do, you just don't know because owners don't usually talk about it a whole lot. I think it would defy logic if Shad wasn't thinking about things. But what that means in terms of action, JP, you and I have been doing this together for a long time.
Yes.
And I always say with ownership changes, don't think that you know what's going to happen because it's up to one person.
There's no doubt
and
about that.
So it leads to speculation stuff. And then, there's no board. There's no, it's not an election. It's what Shad decides, timing, details, action. We just don't know.
So Monday went along as scheduled. Locker room was open to the media, and then in the afternoon, head coach Doug Peterson visiting with the media. No changes to the coaching staff either. He explained why.
I think you got to be really, really careful when you start pointing fingers at certain people. It's a dangerous thing, and I'm not going to do that. Not doing it. Not right now, because that's, as a head coach in this league, that's going through what we're going through. You're pointing a finger, and if it's going to be pointed, it needs to be pointed at me. Start with me, right? So that's enough on that.
That's all I got to say about that, and that's the head coach on Monday, Bucky. And all right, that's saying it how it is. That's how he believes.
That is saying how it is. And meanwhile, JP, while we're going through the podcast, I'm looking at my notes from the spring and the summer and the optimism and all of the things that we expected from the team. And the reason why I'm looking at it is because Coach talked about, not finger pointing and those things. And I just remember like the comments and talked about familiarity, players signing with Doug because they kind of knew what the program was going to be, how hard they worked in the offseason, the chemistry and the attention to detail was there, and the urgency, and how they talked about how tough the camp was and those things. And it's amazing when you have all of that conversation. It really didn't take but a half for it kind of unravel. And I would say the first half, I would say the first game of the season, the Miami Dolphins game, where the team was up and really about to open a can on the Dolphins. Travis Etienne is really on the verge of scoring a touchdown, fumbles, and from that moment on, the season has absolutely spiraled. And I am surprised. I'm surprised that it has kind of been that, because the team talked about the toughness and the resilience and bouncing back from a disappointing finish to last season, that this team is sitting at 2-9. And I would say, based on the feeling down on the sideline, it felt pretty bleak and hopeless. I just can't believe that the team feels broken like it does, based on the optimism that everyone in the building had heading into the season.
Yeah, I guess I would say if that causes this, then you weren't very good to begin with.
Yep.
Meaning, I
That's
mean,
true.
if there's been plenty of seasons start off with a loss. I mean,
Right.
My favorite team growing up was the Washington team. 83, they lost to Dallas week 1, and I know I'm going way, way back, but it was devastating, and they went 14-2. One of the best Colts teams I covered lost to New England on a Thursday night in heartbreaking fashion. Won the division at 12-4, and Peyton threw 49 touchdowns. I mean, it can't end that can't end it. And I get what Bucky's saying. I'm not saying what he said is wrong, because I think there's some truth to it. But if that happened, you weren't mentally tough enough to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's reminded me a little bit of the 2012 season, right? First game of the season in Minnesota. Jaguars take the lead, 20 seconds to go.
Yeah.
Gabbert to Short's touchdown. Then they give up a 55-yard field goal, lose in overtime, and it was pretty much all over from there.
It can't. And I do think there's something to it. I mean, because they were going in. If Travis scores, I think they win that game. But to me, that's more of what this team is than something that caused it. Meaning, I think if you look back over 3 seasons, this team's a team that there's clearly some deficiencies, because in every one of these seasons, they've had a couple of games where they just got blown out of the building. I mean, Detroit in 22
Absolutely.
started it.
Sure.
They were still building at that point, but last year in Tampa, I mean, people forget that game, but that was pretty bad.
It's horrible.
And then in 22 and 23, they had the ability to win close games. They won close games at the end of 22. They won them at the start of 23. There was a little bit of a confidence. I've been trying to figure this out, so I'm kind of thinking about it. A little bit of a confidence there for some reason they could get over the hump in close games. This year, that's the element that's been missing. And Bucky's the football.
Yeah.
Hey, Bucky, your name's on the show.
We got questions for you, Bucky. I mean, it felt like they I think in 22, and this is just me thinking, Bucky, correct me here, but they had a defensive swagger about them, at least in 2022. They had guys in the back end that could make plays in big moments, interception returns. They had a little more, obviously a lot more life than they have right now on the defensive side. I think that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the one thing that they could do the last 2 years prior to this year, they could turn the ball over, and the turnovers would kind of create a feeding frenzy when it came to the energy, changing the energy in the stadium. The offense would kind of pick up on the energy, and you would see this team overcome some slow starts because the defense would make a play or two, and then all of a sudden it would spark like wildfire. This year it hasn't been the same thing. And I mean, let's be honest, like the last 3 years and the last 2 years in particular, we expected the offense to be the part of the team that would carry the team. The defense was supposed to be the part that could close it out. We've since changed our expectations where we expect the defense to carry the weight when the offense has really been the unit that has underperformed. The team is flawed. The team is not playing well. The team lacks confidence. But it all goes back to what John talked about. The mental toughness or the lack thereof has really shown through and has been an issue because you don't finish the way that you finish and you don't play or start the way this season has started unless you lack a level of toughness and grit and determination to get jobs done.
Let's come back in a moment and dig into the Trevor Lawrence future this season and beyond. Coming off a left shoulder issue, we're off and running. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
The 2024 season is Pawsome. Register your pet for the Four-Legged Fan Club, presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your furry friend can access exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Fan club members will be automatically entered to win the Pet of the Game sweepstakes with 2 Jags tickets and sideline passes for pet owners and the chance for your pet to be featured on the video boards as Pet of the Game. Visit jaguars.com/promotions/Four-Legged Fan Club to sign up.
The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguar season at Firehouse Subs. Receive 50% off on any sub when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more. It's a bold deal for the bold city. Download the Firehouse Subs app for offer details. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available in the Firehouse Subs app. Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover unmatched comfort and convenience. Visit SheratonJacksonville.com for exclusive game day special rates and book your stay today.
Don't believe they're letting go of the rope. I don't. It is a good football team. They are good, and they're going to play for a long time. I think this year. You know, I mean that's just without question in the NFC. I look at it, and even visiting with guys today and seeing the guys today, you know, they're tired. It's been, you know, each week, each Monday, you know, we haven't felt very good, and that also weighs on you. You're going into the next week.
Head coach Doug Peterson earlier this week, the full press conference at Jaguars.com or the Jaguars YouTube channel. Welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. Get down to the bank Sunday, December 1st when the Jaguars go head-to-head with the division rival Houston Texans. It's the My Cause, My Cleats game. Lock in your seats. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff, 904-633-2000, or visit Jaguars.com/tickets. And yes, the Texans beat the Cowboys on Monday Night Football this week. JP Shadrick, John Ogier, and Bucky Brooks as we continue to huddle up on this bye week. Let's get into this Jaguars offense. And what are you laughing at, Bucky?
Hold on, man. Like, I got to say this because I think every Jags fan, everybody who supports this team would be disgusted at the comment that Doug just made about the team being tired. Like, I just think it's hard for civilians to really look at pro athletes and say that, oh, my God, they lost a bunch of games in a row. They're so tired. Let's give them the week off. I just think that's hard for a blue-collar worker to identify with that. And if anything, it goes back to what we're talking about, the lack of toughness when it comes to the team. Yes, you lost some games in a row, but that should not impact your ability to come to work and do your job. To me, that's giving them a way out. Like, we can talk about the coaches, we can talk about the front office, but at some point, this also falls to the players. And if they don't have the energy where they need time off or they just don't feel well and they're down because they're getting their tails kicked, they ultimately determine whether they get their tails kicked or not. So I just don't understand why the coach would let them off the hook. I understand taking a bullet for your guy, but hey, man, sometimes they got to wallow in this muck. And for them not to be on the practice field this week, I don't know how you get better without practice.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, Bucky, when he said it. I related to what he was saying because, Bucky, you and I, before a couple of games, I've expressed to you, I said, I wonder if this is the game where that stamina we talked about, I forget which game it was, maybe Philly or, and I thought it might catch up with them in Detroit, where they had that kind of a game, because the Lions are the kind of team that can sort of take that and really test it, and then you can fall apart, right? But look, this is the widest margin of total yardage since, 79?
Yeah.
There's been plenty of tired teams in the NFL in the last, 45 years. So I don't know. I kind of agree with you. Yes, I think they are a mentally tired team, and I think this kind of a season can wear on you. But it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show, right? Like, if you can't recover from that, if you can't push through this, then you're not very good. And that's sort of, it feels like maybe the same thing, and I'm not getting into it very well, Bucky.
No, it 100% is what you said. Okay, so part of why you have a tough training camp, because remember, everyone talked about how tough training camp was. Like Trevor Lawrence, they talked about having to join practices with Tampa talking about how tough things are. Well, part of the reason why you put your team through a tough camp is to prepare them for the tough stretches of the season that are inevitably going to come. And if they are not able to push through the adversity part of the season, how could they ever be a championship type team? And so to me, it's flawed, not only in the building process, team building, camaraderie building, whatever you want to say. It's flawed in terms of the type of people that you have, because if the team is not prideful enough to try and bounce back from those moments, then what kind of team do we have? What kind of players are you bringing in if they don't want to go? Ultimately, this is a very competitive game, and competitors have to show up. And so the fact that the team is saying, oh, we're tired, we don't feel good, we're discouraged, it's just hard for me to say let them off the hook with that, give them a week off, and they're going to bounce back and everything's going to be magically fixed.
By the way, they didn't wear pads the second day against the Bucs in practice. That was just the first day. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's just
it's what it is.
It's crazy.
It's what
crazy.
it is. It really is.
That's particularly good. Because look, Bucky, I don't be the old man here, but even tough camps now aren't tough.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying I could do it. I'm saying within the context. I'm 58, and I could have done it when I was 24. But within the context of professional football, Bucky, you play. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's
not that tough.
Man, it's
comparatively speaking,
it's not tough. And even if we talk about, let's just say like toughness, just in the terms of like what the current state is, right? The teams that are at the top of the list, when we look at the teams that are flourishing right now, the Detroit Lions we just saw, their identity is built on toughness and physicality. We look at the upstart LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh came in, talked about toughness, physicality. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who may not, I would say, I don't know how talented the Pittsburgh Steelers are, but toughness, physicality, all of that stuff. There appears to be a trend that the teams that are successful in this league are tough-minded, grizzled, hardened teams. We obviously don't have that.
It's a tough game.
We obviously don't have that if we're unable to respond to a little adversity. And so look, man, everyone is to blame for that. Players, coaches, front office, everyone gets some of that. But I'm going to say from the player standpoint, you just may not have the right composition of players in the locker room if they can't bounce back from some of these tough moments.
All right, guys, let's come back and we'll get into Trevor Lawrence and what the futures are for him after the bye week. Whew, a lot on the plate today during a bye week. At 2-9, that's what happens. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Football is back. Celebrate with a gay Duval meal deal. Score 2 Roller Grill favorites and a 20-ounce Coca-Cola soft drink for just $4.50. That means you can choose any 2 to pair with your Coke. 2 hot dogs, 2 tornadoes, 2 roller bites, or mix and match. Whether you're stopping for a quick snack or tailgating with friends, this is a victory for every Jags fan. Deal happening now through January 2nd, 2025. Stop by to purchase in store.
Imagine beautiful new windows and doors that elevate your space and keep you comfortable year-round. At Renewal by Andersen, we specialize in custom-built, energy-efficient windows and doors that are crafted to last. Right now, for a limited time, save 20% off your entire project. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free in-home consultation today. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527613.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense, a rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'll say this, and I told the team this today, and I told it to them after the game, that the team that was out there yesterday, that was not us. That's not who we are. That's not who we stand for. There's enough pride in that locker room, enough pride on the coaching staff to, whether we win the game or not, right? How we performed, it's not who we are. It's not who we are. It's not how I coach. It's not how we prepare during the week. It's not how the players practice and what they put their bodies through.
Head coach Doug Peterson earlier this week. And welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. If you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. Zip Chair furniture for fans. JP Shadrick, John Ogier from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. Bucky Brooks out in Los Angeles. It's the bye-week edition of Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. Trevor Lawrence, left shoulder injury, has missed the last 2 weeks. And I guess we'll find out after the bye week, maybe on Monday, probably later than that, if he is getting a green light to go play or if there are bigger issues, Bucky. But this is where it gets interesting with the franchise quarterback making as much money as he is for the next 6 years after this season. The balance of long-term health to competing and playing if he's healthy enough to play right now in a season that is essentially lost. This is a big organizational decision coming up, and we'll see how Trevor responds. Maybe he comes back healthy, Bucky. Who knows?
He shouldn't come back healthy. He shouldn't play. Why trot him out there when you're not playing for the postseason? Why risk an injury to your franchise player? And I understand the locker room, and I understand how we want all players to be created equal, but he's the quarterback. He's your franchise quarterback, and you're locked in to him at $55 million annually for a long time. So why not let him rest in rehab, allow him to be fully healthy when he returns next offseason, whether it's OTAs, training camp, or whatever, to have the opportunity to put forth your best team in 2025. To me, I don't know what benefits there are to try number 16 out there if he has an injury that is going to require more evaluation, more rehab and recovery. Let's start it right now so he can be ready to go next year. Let's not prolong it. Yeah,
I guess it depends a little on to a degree on the time frame. If it needs surgery, if he can get back by whatever it is, April 15th, whenever that starts.
Yeah.
There's part of me that would like to see Trevor play through that because I'm sure, knowing him, he wants to. But if it, as Bucky said, if it does anything at all to, if you think you're unduly risking anything that affects that timeline or him not being back raring to go, as they say, then I agree with you. And I guess I just don't know because we don't have any firm knowledge of severity and how much it'll affect potential return to have the facts to make the statement. But I agree with Bucky. If it affects it at all, if the risk is higher than if this wasn't going on, then I think you said.
Well, what's the reward if he, let's say he's out there, right? And
he's still developing young quarterback.
Okay, yes. But how many of the weapons are going to be around for the long term? Brian Thomas Jr., right? Evan Ingram's still under contract for another year or so, right?
I would say this. I think he has to be healthy enough to benefit from what he's doing, right?
That's right.
And I guess what I mean, Bucky, is last year in the last 6 games, when he played 5, it didn't feel like he was healthy enough to be improving at that point or to be playing at his highest. I think he was healthy enough that they thought he was a better option than the backup. And I think I'm saying that very well, but if he's just struggling through to gut out a win, then I absolutely don't think you play him, right?
Yeah, now look, here's the thing. Like, after watching 2 games of the offense with Mac Jones, it is clear and apparent that Trevor Lawrence is needed for this team to score points. Trevor Lawrence is needed to give the rest of the team hope that they can win a game. Like, that's the feeling and the sense that I get when I'm on the sideline. They don't believe that there's a path to victory if Trevor Lawrence is not at quarterback. That said, part of your job at the top is to make sure you protect your franchise asset, your franchise quarterback. And despite the competitiveness that Trevor may exhibit in wanting to play, risk reward. What are the rewards of risking putting him out there, potentially, even though it's his non-throwing shoulder and those things? What are the potential rewards of doing that? Okay, you win a game or two, you fall out of maybe the number 1 position to now you fall to number 3 in the draft. To me, I don't know if that is enough to risk putting number 16 out there. And as the leader of the franchise or whatever, like, someone needs to say, hey, look, he wants to go, he can do it, but we just want to make sure that we have number 16 healthy and ready to go, and we want to make sure we protect his long-term interests, and we just play out the string. Because that's what it is. I don't know how much is going to change over the next few weeks, whether Trevor plays or not. I just want to make sure that you protect the franchise by protecting the quarterback.
Guys, let's come back. We'll try to salvage the defense when we return, and we'll get our final thoughts. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information. Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover unmatched comfort and convenience. Visit SheratonJacksonville.com for exclusive game day special rates and book your stay today. Hey Jaguars fans, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why they've built the Crown Royal Rig. An absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
Very disappointed, very angry. Today was not our day at all, no phase of the game. And we got a lot of work to do, especially we got a bye week, so everybody hopefully get fresh, come back. Divisional game when we come back, an important one, we got to win. But right now, man, the feelings are, we angry. And, but we got a bye week.
Josh Hines Allen after the game at Ford Field, Detroit. Welcome back. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks is brought to you by Fields Auto Group, Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. JP Shadrick, John Ogier, and Bucky Brooks. Defense, second most yards the Jaguars have ever allowed in a game, most in a 60-minute game. The overtime loss in Houston in 2012 was the most they've ever allowed. And then the most yardage in the 95-year history of the Detroit Lions organization and their 91st year in the city of Detroit. That includes the years in Portsmouth, Ohio, in their early days. That's a lot of football to be played to give up 645 yards. The Jaguars going into that game were the worst defense in the league overall, bottom or near the bottom in most every major metric, the lowest blitz rate in the league. What is there to salvage the rest of the way here, Bucky, Mr. Defensive-minded guy? What do you got?
I don't know what we can salvage, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to take the bye week, and I heard Coach Peterson talk about they're going to look at everything, look at all the tactics, the personnel, the rotations, all those things, and see what they can do to put a better product on the field the last 6 weeks. I think if you're Ryan Nielsen and the coaching staff, you have to look at everything that you've done. Who are the players that you put on the field? Does the scheme put them in the best position to succeed? If not, what are the things that can change? It's hard to do a major overhaul of the personnel. So what can you do from a X and O standpoint to help the players play better? We've seen this team go from being, I would say, an aggressive man-to-man team to trying to be one that is a little more bend but don't break. But both approaches have not yielded the results that you want. I think what you have to do is look at the strengths of the players, put them in a position to play to those strengths as much as possible, and you just got to live with the results. But what you want to do now is you have to become a process-oriented group more so than a results-driven group, because as a coach, you got to assume that I'm going to be here beyond this year. Let me lock in and figure out what I can fix to help us build some momentum down the stretch.
First of all, some of those Portsmouth teams could hang a number on you. So
yeah, sure.
Don't discount that.
Absolutely. Flying V.
I thought they played bend but don't break the other day. The problem was the Lions' offensive line was so good that once you got down into the point where you would normally stop bending, the Lions could just break you. I mean, so that approach makes sense, except when you're completely overmatched at the line of scrimmage. So that was just kind of a thought that has very little to do with your question. What do they do? I think they'll play better defensively going forward. I think they can get back to when they're playing lesser offenses, which pretty much any offense in the league right now is going to be lesser than Detroit, because they match up so well against Jacksonville, meaning their front being that overpowering. You worried beforehand, Bucky, that they would expose what we all sort of felt was the Jaguars' weakness, the interior, and that if they couldn't get off the field, they were going to be able to impose will, opening up everything. I'm not sure any other team can quite do that to that degree this year. But
yeah, let's look at the schedule. I mean,
I'm sitting there saying that that doesn't matter because it shows you how far behind you are elite right now.
That's
and
yeah.
I got off track, but that's too bad.
To your point, John, Texans next, Titans after that, Jets, Raiders, Titans again, and then the Colts. That's the remaining 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, so you can get some traction and not be as bad as they were the other day, but to goodness, they were as bad as you can get the other day. So I don't know if that traction makes any difference.
Can't get worse.
Yeah, but we weren't surprised because I remember JP asked the question in the pregame talk about where, if anywhere, do the Jaguars hold an advantage over the Detroit Lions? And I couldn't give an answer. I couldn't give a positive answer like offense, defense, O-line, D-line, secondary, nowhere. And that's a problem just from a personnel standpoint. And then when you try and match the tactics to the personnel, what you're trying to do is accentuate your strengths and match your deficiencies. But the problem, the way the team is constructed right now, you're not dominant on the interior. You have 2 pass rushers in Trayvon Austin, Josh Hines-Allen, but you have to have more to be successful in the league. At linebacker, we've had problems when we've been forced to match up in man-to-man, so you want to play more zone. But when you are a defense that is not as fast as the opponent, zone leaves too many holes and voids, and the catch and run stuff can get you. And then on the outside, we're still having, I would say, communication issues when it comes to the coverage. Where am I supposed to be? Who do I have? How do we play this? And those things. So everyone is to blame. Coaches, players, front office in terms of the pieces of the puzzle not matching up. But I will say this. What you try to do is you try to sell the team on, let's play these next 6 games the best that we can do. Let's reset everything when we come back on Monday and see if we can build game plans that gives us an opportunity to win the majority of these 6 games. And if we can build some positive momentum, maybe we can realize some of the potential that we thought that we had as a team heading into the season. Easier said than done, but I think from a mental standpoint, that's what you have to do if you're Doug Peterson and company.
Yeah, I think the same thing applies to the other side of the ball too, Bucky. I mean, look, every email I get keeps on talking about how, quote, predictable the offense is. My experience is that typically when play callers feel like the players that they have are somewhat limited, that tends to limit what they call offensively because they're trying to put these guys in situations where they can succeed. And it feels to me like that's a little bit of, okay, well, we don't really want to call this set of plays because we feel like that puts us at a disadvantage not being able to execute it. So we're going to stick to these. It gets predictable because there's not that many things you feel confident in. And again, I may not be saying that well, but I think Mac, clearly the arm there limits a little bit of what they're going to call downfield. That's just how it feels to me. And then the fact that you don't feel confident that you can establish the run, then all of a sudden there's a limit to what you can call in this, which I think is sort of the offensive version of what you're talking about, Buck.
Yeah, now, let's be honest, because it starts with the quarterback first, right? The one thing that every team will tell you is what you hope for is the quarterback that is in the game gives you hope that you'll be able to get it done. When the defense believes in the quarterback, what they do is they spend their time saying, hey, if we can just get the ball back, our guy can lead us down the field. Offensively, wide receivers run a little faster. They give a little more energy and effort to getting open because they know if I win my route, the ball is going to be right there for me, and I'm going to be able to make a play. Same thing for the offensive line. If we give our guy time, we can make it happen. And unfortunately, right now, Mac Jones has not played well enough to inspire that kind of hope on either side of the ball. Now, he's trying like as hard as he can to be that guy, but right now it just hasn't worked. That then forces the coaching staff to kind of shift gears and try and figure out, well, how can we win working around some of the things that he's struggling with? Can we run the ball more? Can we do some different things, screen passes, quick game, rhythm throws, play action, all of those things. And so you're spinning the wheel trying to find the right combination of plays and concepts to help the quarterback. And in helping the quarterback, you help the rest of the team. But I'll be honest, the offensive line hasn't been good enough to run the football successfully. We've had the same issues the last 2 years in terms of being able to convert 3rd and 4th and shorts. On the outside, we're not winning consistently outside of Brian Thomas Jr. To deserve to have the ball go in their direction more often. And then when it comes to the quarterback, we just haven't been accurate enough to be able to put the ball on the playmakers when they do win. So it's just been a failure in every aspect when it comes to the offensive plan.
Well, other than that, everything's going fine here in Jacksonville at the bye week. You know, I mean, I'm real positive about what's going to happen moving ahead after this show today, Bucky, I must say. Hey, Bucky, do you have a bye week? How does that work?
It is a bye week. It's been kind of crummy. So the good thing is being able to kind of reset. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a cue from Doug Peterson and the team, and I'm just going to reset. I'm a little tired. All of these games have made me tired, so I'm going to try and rest and recharge and make sure that I come back next week on Huddle Up fully ready to go, back to the positivity, trying to go 1-0 next week. So, yeah, I'm going to do like the players. I'm going to take some time off, and I'm going to try and get it right next week. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the week and make sure I'm recharged and ready to go.
It's a long stretch run, John.
Can't top that.
That's tough. Tough, too.
I'll do the same. I will take the rest of the show off.
I will do it just because that's what we do during the bye week. Bucky, we'll talk to you next week. Appreciate it.
Hey, man. All right, man. Looking forward to it.
Bucky Brooks joining us from Los Angeles. John Ogier. I'm JP Shadrick. Our thanks to Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber, and our entire crew. And thanks to you for watching Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.